A massive thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Click the link in the description to get 2 free months of premium membership and explore your creativity. Over the years on this channel, I found myself gravitating more and more towards games that tell their stories through mechanics rather than relying too heavily on the narrative techniques of other media. What makes games special is their interactivity, so why not use it in the storytelling process? After all, a conclusion you draw through your own actions is far more likely to mean more to you than one explained at you via text. It doesn't even need to be some hyper-complex, interconnected web where every little aspect of your interaction with a game relates directly to its plot. Rather, all it takes is one system that can get you subtly rethinking your entire experience, deepening your connection to whatever you're playing. For example, Sleeping Dogs' morality system, rather than merely judging your actions as either binary good or evil, instead views everything you do as a combination of the two, rewarding creative destruction while simultaneously punishing you for the most minute of infractions, framing the triad lifestyle as thrilling, while protagonist Wei Shen's duties as an undercover cop become a leash around his neck, perfectly representing the character's central struggle, the inner battle at the heart of so many of its cinematic inspirations, directly through your gameplay. You're incentivized to keep both your triad and cop scores as high as possible in order to access new abilities on separate upgrade trees, but you quickly butt up against the inherent contradiction between the two. Suddenly, thanks to the way the game handles something as simple as morality and upgrades, what would otherwise be a bombastic mess of player-driven chaos takes on a deeper layer of meaning without sacrificing any of the aforementioned thrills. Okay, we get it. Sleeping Dogs is more meaningful than some might think. Some might say it remains a vastly underrated masterpiece, but what's your point? Well, when I actually thought about it, I guess I found it a little odd that when it comes to the notion of the upgrade system, not merely the act of buying a better gun or sword, but directly improving your character themselves through new abilities and the like, Sleeping Dogs is one of the few games I can think of that uses this feature to highlight the themes of its story. The unlocking of new skills based on how a player wants to build their own character has become a key component of many different RPGs. The upgrade tree as a concept is so ubiquitous that it's part of the much lamented Ubisoft sandbox formula, and yet the vast majority of these systems you come across are remarkably abstract and distant from the story actually being told. How many games can you really think of where any context is given as to why you get these experience points? What is it you're collecting here? What do these points actually mean? How do they relate to your character and the skills they are somehow now learning? Indeed, for the most part, I'd be willing to bet it's just a series of abstract points on a weird, barely coherent path. Click button to gain new ability, with little thought given to the process of actually learning said ability. To return to Sleeping Dogs, while most upgrades fall under the aforementioned upgrade paths, a separate tree rewards you for collecting and returning stolen statues to your former instructor, whereby you select the move you want to unlock, and a small tutorial sees you physically learn it within the confines of the dojo, emphasizing and lending weight to the game's martial arts aesthetic. Your character goes through the process of learning a new ability as a reward for collecting an in-game item. In the vast majority of other upgrade trees, however, you simply wander around a bunch, you kill an arbitrary number of enemies, and that means your health instantaneously goes up, or you can do a better kick now for some reason. And to be clear, this isn't something that kills my enjoyment of games by any means. Hell, for some games it might make total sense to keep a system like this as out of the player's way as possible, as found in something like the move from the awkwardly priced money-based upgrades in Tony Hawk 2 to the straight-up stat points in Tony Hawk 3, trimming as much fat separating you from that delightfully pure gameplay as possible. That said, when thinking about the concept more broadly, I do find it strange that almost every other element of a game, from morality to action to death to the mere act of movement itself, has been used in multiple titles to tell various different kinds of stories, and yet something as widespread as the upgrade system seems to stand separate from everything else, remaining wholly unquestioned and telling just the one story. Get the numbers up to get stronger, I guess. Not all upgrade systems are created equal, however. Nier Automata does feature a typical XP system, but bolsters it by rendering its upgrades in a remarkably physical way, in the form of collectible chips that you install into your blank slate of a body, giving you total control over the buffs you want to apply to your character, whether it be health, damage, or your ability to automatically heal, for example. In the heat of combat, these can drastically affect the tide of a battle, so it can be a little disconcerting to die, then retry an encounter, realizing you have none of your upgrades equipped. This is because those upgrade chips are real, physical objects attached to the fallen body. You aren't rewinding the clock by hitting continue here. Your consciousness is merely transferred to a new body, and if you want those upgrades back, you have to go and get them. And like basically everything in Nier Automata, it's one more element linking back to the game's central questions of what it truly means to be conscious, to exist when bodies are treated so disposably, when you can just casually respawn in another hunk of flesh like it was nothing, while your previous body is still out there somewhere. The process of improving your character, it turns out, can be incredibly meaningful. And going even further in the direction of machines, maybe my favourite upgrade system ever is found within one of my favourite games generally, Suda51 and Grasshopper Manufacture's Killer 7. Its outwardly wacky story that melds incredibly dense, heavy themes of political tension between the US and Japan, with lucha-masked assassins and anime Power Rangers, belies the fact that, as I've previously discussed on this channel, its oddities go way beyond the surface level, with gameplay that was advertised as a fast-paced action game but ended up as a lurching survival adventure puzzle shooter. It's easy to view the game's upgrade system in that same subversive light. Essentially, you encounter an enemy, you scan the room to make them visible, then you attack them in order to collect thick blood, which is different from thin blood, which is used for healing, which you then take to a floating TV found within the various Harmon's rooms dotted throughout each level, and change the channel to get to the creepy doctor with a machine that slowly converts that thick blood into blood vials you can then spend on upgrading each member of the Killer 7 separately. Whew. The wildest part about all this though is that you will eventually reach an unseen cap of how much blood you can convert in a level, so as not to break the game through endless grinding in the first area, I imagine, where the machine will slowly sputter out before the aforementioned creepy doctor bangs on it, hangs a closed sign and walks away like it was nothing, saying nothing to you in the process, simply leaving you to deal with all this blood you now can't spend. And what I love about this is the fact that more so than perhaps anything else in Killer 7, this system is the thing that makes me think, in a game so extremely odd otherwise, is this really that strange? See, here we have a system whereby you collect a physical, measurable item from a real physical being, insert it into a physical machine that works, and importantly breaks and requires maintenance, just like a normal machine does. The in-world creatures and objects filling in those blanks might be a floating television and blood from exploding terrorist zombies, but all of it exists as part of a process which follows an understandable real-world logic. I guess I just love that out of something so wild and obtuse can emerge a process this delightfully mundane. It's clunky, but it's funny, a cheeky jab at the way upgrades are supposed to work in games. But it does occur to me that thinking about all this, perhaps there's a reason upgrade systems in particular haven't been super widely utilised when it comes to mechanical storytelling. When I consider the examples that really work for me in this regard, the majority of them can be seen to be kind of annoying out of context. In a world where games are often made to be as streamlined as possible, doubtless in certain cases to provide the clearest path to get players paying for arbitrarily higher numbers, titles like this come along and make things deliberately more difficult for you. A machine breaks, you have to traverse great distances and physically learn new abilities, adding more steps to a traditionally one-step process and, at worst, straight up blocking you out of certain things you might want to do. But crucially, what makes all the difference here is that they are tangible. They add a physical weight and provide logic to their worlds. They make new skills feel earned rather than some illusion of power you just expect when you level up for some reason. And this is all stuff you just don't get when upgrades are so instantaneous. A deeper, more engaged upgrade system might be inherently more cumbersome, requiring more work from players, but maybe it's precisely that struggle that makes any kind of self-improvement feel meaningful, and perhaps there are ways games could more effectively represent that journey. And while we're on the topic, seems like now would be a good opportunity to start your own journey of self-improvement with today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community for creatives, where millions come together to take the next step in their creative journey. It's a new year or a new decade, why not make 2020 a year where you explore new skills, deepen existing passions, and get lost in creativity with Skillshare's online classes, on topics including video, design, illustration, freelancing, and more. What you find just might surprise and inspire you. With so much to explore, real projects to create, create and the support of fellow creatives, Skillshare empowers you to accomplish real growth. As someone who has been looking for ways to manage my work time better so I can get the most out of the far too many hours I spend making these videos, I've especially enjoyed Thomas Frank's Productivity Masterclass, Create a Custom System That Works. It's a remarkably accessible class that emphasises making small changes that will have a big impact on your routine, whatever it is you're setting out to do. What's more, Skillshare offers classes designed for real life, so you can learn and grow with short classes that fit your busy routine. It's way more affordable than pricey in-person classes or workshops. An annual subscription is less than $10 a month. And because Skillshare is sponsoring this video, the first 500 people who click my link in the description can get a 2-month free trial, so there's no risk to checking it out for yourself, and you'll really be helping the channel in the process. Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and I hope you all enjoyed this piece on upgrade systems. I'd like to sincerely thank my patrons for making videos like this possible. I legitimately could not continue to do this without your generous support. If you enjoyed the video and would like to see more, perhaps consider pledging at patreon.com/writingongames. Even $1 or $2 helps more than you know. Special thanks go to Mark B. Writing, Artyom Vitsyuk, Leah Chinello, Konstantinos Sakinis, Henry Milek, Edward Clayton Andrews, Evie Amori, Rob, Bryce Snyder, Tommy Carver Chaplin, David Björk, Lucas, Dallas Keane, William Fielder, my dad, Timothy Jones, The Nameless Guy, Ham Megas, Samuel Pickens, Shardfire, Anna Pimentel, Jesse Ryan, Justin's Holderness, and Charlie Yang. And with that, this has been another episode of Writing on Games. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.